Hello, this is Charles Lewis again, author of The Diamond Mind, The Law of Attraction based on ancient scriptures and modern day practitioners. It is available on Amazon, iTunes, and Audible. The title of today's message is Energy Never Dies. I made this video to specifically encourage people who have lost someone very close to them. Also, to encourage those people to have a better relationship with death. So, I'm sure like everybody else, I've suffered a lot of losses. I think one of the most devastating losses was probably my cousin Kevin. And this is, over 20 years ago, but, it still affects me to this day. It impacts me in a positive way now, more positive than it did, and I'll show you how I grew through that. I lost my Aunt Roxanne, my homeboy Dion, my cousin Royce, my cousin Juice, my Aunt Liz, all of my grandparents. And most of those people, they happen within like maybe a 3 or 4 year period of time. So I was suffering loss after loss after loss. And if you don't process death responsibly, it can devastate your life. So I blame myself because, well, number one, as far as Kevin was concerned, there was nothing I could do. Sometimes it's just out of your hands. There's no way that, you could have had an impact or you could have changed that situation. I don't know if you can ever change any situation, but like in terms of like Dion, I know that had I been in the financial position that I should have been in, had I answered my calling 20 years ago, when the Lord first started calling me, there would have never been any way that he would have been in Columbus selling dope on some other people's territory. You know what I mean? I'd either gave him some money or gave him a job. Royce and Juice, they both had heart problems. Had I had the bag, sometimes having financial resources encourages people to hold on. It also opens up doors that you can afford, different type of treatments. And, you know what I mean? I kind of judge myself based on that. I don't know if it would have had an impact or not, but I know that it may have extended their life a little bit. Had I been able to provide the resources to pay for the help that they needed. Or if my spirit was strong enough, I could have just snatched that thing right up off of them. So, I had to forgive myself to a certain extent. And, and I'll show you how I did that. So, let's just get back to energy never dies. So, physics tells us that energy can neither be created or destroyed. So energy never dies. We were spirit before we got here. We're spirit while we're here. And we're spirit when we leave. So I believe, just like, you go to school and go to college to learn trades, to be able to, use it at a different level. You're going to utilize what you've learned in school and college in order to do a job. I believe the same thing applies to our physical existence here on Earth. We're not accumulating these wealth of experiences to gain wisdom just to walk streets of gold and relax in paradise in one of the many mansions. That's my personal belief. Take it or leave it. I believe that we're here to accumulate that wisdom and build our faith and build the spirit so we can utilize it on the next level. So, 1 Corinthians 10 and 13 says, God will not put more on you than you can bear. So, even though it's probably one of the worst things that ever happened to you, to lose somebody close to you, just know that God would never put more on you than you can bear. I can remember being in situations that I thought I would never be able to rise from. But not only did I rise from it, I came out better on the other side. So just keep that in mind. Now, in my opinion, and I want to make that clear. Like, I do not believe that I have arrived. Please, God, never let me get to the point where I feel like I've arrived, because at that point you stop learning and you stop growing. I mean, you see 85-year-old people out here with 20-year-old game because when they were 20, they thought they had it all figured out and couldn't nobody tell them nothing else. I learn more and more every day. I am open. I just encourage you to just remain open. Some of the things that I tell you are biblically based. Some are based off of experience. Some are based off of revelation. So, take it or leave it. This is a very, very powerful scripture. I probably bumped into it probably like 6 years ago. And I didn't really receive it at that point. I kind of, received it on an intellectual level, but it didn't touch me spiritually. So as you grow, like, you'll be able to receive things more clear. Like, I wasn't a big fan of T.D. Jakes probably about 10 years ago. I wasn't on a level to be able to absorb what he was saying. Now he's one of my favorite teachers. Anyhow, Isaiah 43, 3 and 4 says, "For I am the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel, your Savior. I give Egypt as your ransom and Seba in exchange for you. Because you are precious in my eyes and honored, and I love you, I give men in return for you, people in exchange for your life." So there are no lengths that God won't go to encourage you to fulfill your purpose. Sometimes the people that are closest to you are limiting your growth. But your path and your process and what he wants you to do is so important that he will not allow that person to get in your way, so he will remove it. Okay? Sometimes the people that are closest to you are more valuable interceding on the other level in order for you to fulfill God's purpose. So some of the people that you lost are now part of your hedge of protection. They're one of the angels that are encamped about you with their swords drawn and their bows pulled back, wishing somebody would come against his anointed. People also say, I hear people often say, I can't believe God took that person. They had so much potential. Energy never dies, folks. God is not going to let that potential go to waste. He built that person so they could be strong enough to function on the next level. And now he's utilizing that potential of your lost loved one to fulfill his purpose. There are no lengths that God won't go in order for his will to be done. Sometimes we bring death on ourselves. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. I just want to remind you that we are sons and daughters of God. We are part of the source that created worlds by speaking it. It says, I have set before you life and death, blessing and curses. Choose life. So you have to speak life. You have to think life. You have to feel life in order for it to become manifest. Because it could go either way. Whatever you speak will come to pass. So never say, this pain is killing me. Never say, I don't know if my baby can make it through this. Never say, well, you know, death comes in threes, so now we got 2 more coming. Stop cursing yourself and cursing your loved ones with your mouth. You're not cognizant of the fact that you're so powerful. Like, when your words leave, they will not come back void. So what are you speaking about yourself and about your loved ones? Choose life. Another thing that brings death to your doorstep faster than it should come is fear. Everybody knows the story of Job. And on the surface, it's a story where, the devil goes to God and says, and obviously I'm paraphrasing, hey, Job is only serving you because you gave him everything, because he's so blessed. And so God then says, okay, well, hey, go ahead and attack him, but I won't let you take his life. But when you read a little bit deeper, what you have to do with all scriptures, all of the scriptures' wisdom is not surface level. But it specifically says in Job 3:25, for the thing I greatly feared has come upon me, and what I dreaded has happened to me. It wasn't God or the devil that did that to Job. It was Job's fear. He had everything. And then it was all taken away because he feared it. He said, that which I feared have come upon me. He feared losing it all. So guess what? He lost it all. The beautiful part of that story is he came out better on the other side. So even if you make the mistake by speaking something wrong or fearing something, God will still use it to your advantage. All things work for the good to those who love the Lord and called according to his purpose. But why go through that? Why not think life? Why not be optimistic? Why not use the law that Jesus taught us about speaking to the mountains and believing that what we say will come to pass? See, it's not what happens to you, it's how you respond to what happens to you that makes a difference. So if your baby gets sick, a sickness jump on your baby, it's not the sickness that's going to make the difference. It's how you respond to the sickness jumping on your baby that's going to make the difference. Is it going to make you fearful? Are you going to fear that your daughter or your son is going to die as a result of that? You have to think life. Another way that God uses death, not only for your embetterment, but to fulfill his purposes, is by giving you a testimony. He helps his children through his children. So, I always talk to you about the marriage of the physical and the spiritual. You don't have to choose a side, it's both. God gives us physical examples to help us understand spiritual principles. Here's another one. Let's look at earthquakes. So, earthquakes happen when two tectonic plates start to override one another. So when that happens, it causes an earthquake, and it's very devastating. Oftentimes there's a loss of life, depending on, the magnitude of that earthquake. But look what happens in the end. Where are these tectonic plates located? They're located underneath the most beautiful landscapes. It's the earthquakes that create mountains. Some of the most beautiful landscapes on earth were created from a destructive foundation, right? So it's the same thing with your life. I mean, when you lose a loved one, it is like an earthquake. It is also devastating. You lost a life, right? It shakes the foundation of everything around you. It challenges your belief in God. Like, why would God do this? So at that point, you have to trust God. In fact, you trust Him with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Look at the beauty that comes from the earthquake of a lost loved one. What's more beautiful than seeing somebody hurting and going through loss and being able to go up to that person and say, you know what, baby, I've been there and it's gonna be all right. How do I know? Because I lost somebody that was closest to me. And look at me. I am better. I am stronger. I am wiser. That is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Everybody gains from that. Not only the person that has just suffered a recent loss, but even if you are still hurting from a loss, God will heal you. In my situation, nobody could heal me. There was nobody in my immediate circle that was able to give it to me the way that I'm giving it to you. So me and God had to work it out. And I had to essentially heal myself. But it is incumbent upon the people that are able to do that to help the ones that aren't up to that level yet. So if you're strong enough and you can weather the storm, God is going to use your strength to help one of His other children. Because if you're under the mountain of grief that you have when you lose a loved one, there's no way that you can get yourself in proper alignment to be able to fulfill your purpose here. So not only are you going to help that person heal from the grief, but you also a catalyst for them being able to fulfill their purpose. And then in return, you receive healing. Whatever you ever need in life, you have to give it in order to receive it. Just like the principle of reaping and sowing. If you don't have enough money to do what you need to do, you give the money that you have by faith and trust in God, and it will be returned to you. Adam James, one of my best friends, he demonstrated this principle a couple years ago. He was trying to do some type of real estate deal. He didn't have enough money for it. So based on his foundation in scriptures, and his dad being who his dad was, he knew that he had to sow a seed in order to get what he needed. And that's what he did. He gave the money that he had. Within a week, that money came back, tripled, and he was able to make a deal that yielded more money than most people make in a year. So this not only applies, that spiritual principle not only applies to giving, it applies to encouragement. If you're hurting and you need healing, the way you're going to recover the fastest is by helping somebody else that's hurting. That's just spiritual law. So let God use your pain to bring some beauty to somebody else's life, and in return, you will receive that back. That's all I got. Thanks for listening. My prayer for you is that you are healthy, wealthy, and wise. God bless you.